We're just 2 weeks away and we are returning to learn. So whether you're going to be learning online or you're learning in person, we're just 2 weeks away and we'd like to welcome you back. We'd like to take time today to answer some other common questions that people have so that you feel ready and prepared as we return to school. We are excited this year to offer orientations to all of our families. If you are learning with us online, your orientation will be on August 20th and 21st, and that is a virtual orientation. If you're learning with us in person, your orientation for Group 1 will be in person on August 20th, and if you're in Group 2, your orientation will be on August 21st. Now, if you're learning with us in person, those orientations in person, we do have structure around those to keep everyone safe and confident, and also to give you some personalized time with your teacher in person. So the way that we'll set that up is that a student and a caregiver will be invited into a specific time slot so that our groups are very small. We can walk you through that orientation and you'll hear more information from your building about when that's going to be for your family specifically. As we know, the first week of school will look a little different this year. If you're learning with us online, the first week of school begins on August 24th. And August 24th will be a time for students that are online to virtually connect with their teachers and to begin that process and to take off and to begin the learning process. If you are learning with us in person, your first day in Group 1 will be on August 24th. If you're in Group 2, your first day will be August 25th. Remember, we will be in a hybrid model. 50% of our students that are in person will be with us on Monday and 50% on Tuesday. Now on Wednesday, we're asking all students to practice the remote learning experience 2.0. So that means all students will be home, logging in, connecting virtually with their teachers, practicing remote learning 2.0. That's Wednesday, the 26th. Then on the 27th, Group 1 in-person students will come back to school. And then on the 28th, Group 2 students will come back to school in person. So that first week is really a 50% hybrid model, except for Wednesday when we're practicing the remote learning where everyone's home, checking our systems, making sure that everything works, and they're checking in with their teachers. On August 31st will be the first day, at least at this moment and everything that we know, will be the first day that we'll invite all students that have chosen the in-person option to come back to school. We will continue to keep you posted. If for some reason that changes, we will let you all know, and we will make sure that we make the appropriate adjustments to keep all of our students and our staff safe as we return to school. As you may remember, last year we had one central location to distribute all school devices to students that needed those as we moved to remote learning last year. This year will be a little different. This year will be organized by your school site, so you'll be picking up your devices at your school building. You'll hear more information from your school principal about when and where that will be. Now, if you received a school device last year from us and it's working, great, keep that device and that will work perfectly for this year. Now, if you were a kindergartner student or you had a kindergartner that picked up one of our Chromebooks, you will need to return that right here. And you can return it right here to school registration because our kindergarten and first grade students will actually be using iPads. And so if you're a first grader this year and you picked up a device last year, you can return it here. If you have a device that you picked up last year that's not working, you can also return that here to the Student Registration Center, and we will take care of that. One great question we've received a lot is how will we make decisions whether to be in person or to go to a hybrid model or to go to an all remote learning 2.0 model. And what we want to do is be as transparent as possible with our families, and I will tell you right now that we are continuing to develop that process and that decision-making matrix. And I can tell you now that we'll be looking at lots of different data points, and that data will be looked at on a daily basis to make decisions about what's best for all of our students and our staff. And so as we look at the data, it's not just the red or the purple indication for our county. That's an early warning system to let us know that the numbers are changing in our county, but that's not an automatic change for us as a school district. That's one factor. We'll be looking at attendance. We'll be looking at just our whole structure to make sure our structure is ready, whether we have subs ready, whether we have bus drivers ready. So we'll have to look at all of those factors on a regular basis and monitor that to make sure that we have a system that is ready and to move forward. And if we have any change in that, we will communicate that quickly with our parents and our families that have chosen the in-person experience. When we move from one phase to another, when we move from all in-person to a hybrid model, to a 50% model, obviously we've given you the schedule for the entire year and what those days would look like, group 1 versus group 2. But we'll commit to that for 2 to 3 weeks at a time so that we're not moving in and out of those models quickly, so that you're not being jerked around in your schedule, so that we can start to settle in and build some consistency for your family and for us. So one encouragement that I would share with you is sharing with the people that you work with, maybe the teams that you're on, maybe your employer, that this is our plan as a school district, and so that they understand the plan as well, because we understand that childcare will be a factor in this decision. So we take that serious, and that's why we want to look at all the data points and not make quick decisions, but make decisions that are safe and solid for all of our families in the situations that you have. If students are currently in the online option, they may be wondering, can I move to the remote learning if our whole district moves to remote learning? And you know, on the surface that seems like an easy move, we just move them right over. But the reality is, behind the scenes, there's so many logistics that we need to work through, and we carefully place our students with schedules, with class lists, and we also understand that we're monitoring data. So when we move to the remote learning option in our school district for the in-person students, we may only be in that temporarily. It may be just a 2 or 3 week period of time. If the data continues to improve, we'll move back to a hybrid model, or we'll move back to a full in 5 days. And it's not realistic for us to be able to switch kids in and out from the online to the remote learning. So that's why we've asked all of our families, and we've been very clear up front about this being a commitment for a whole semester. The reason it's a whole semester commitment is it gives us time to do that well. What we don't want to do is go into this year and move people around and cause some kind of confusion by switching back and forth. We want to be committed and build some stability for our teachers and our students. So there won't be movement back and forth, but we do ask that you would be in that and settle in for a semester, and then we'll reevaluate that. And obviously, if new information comes to us from a state level or something changes our whole course, then we will obviously continue to reevaluate as we learn more. So a big question out there and a big topic of discussion is, what is our policy on wearing face masks here at Mason City Schools? If you chose the in-person option, obviously we have learned a lot over the summer, and as things continue to change, we continue to get better about communicating clearly what our expectations are. And so as we move into this year, it is mandatory and required that all students, K-12 and staff members, wear masks in school. And that is something that came out across the state just the other day with the governor's announcement, and obviously we will continue to practice that to keep our students and our staff safe. It's one of the strategies that we have to keep us in school, and one of the things we want to do for our in-person students is to return to school. So wearing masks will be required. So let me talk a little bit about what the mask looks like. So some people will then ask the question, well, can I do a face shield instead of a mask? And the answer is no, the face shield cannot replace the mask. Can I wear a face shield and a mask? The answer is yes, you can wear a face shield and a mask. Some teachers may choose to do that, and some students may choose to do that as well. But a mask must cover our nose and our mouth through our chin. So this is an example of what that looks like. So it keeps me continuing to keep myself safe, but also my friends and my colleagues and my teachers safe as well. We will have specific times where teachers will possibly be using a face shield for specific instructional times, like if it's speech pathology or English language learners, and it makes sense for the teacher to have their mouth available for the student to see that in forming language and words, then we will have this ready for our teachers as well to use that. So there will be specific times for that. There are all kinds of different masks, and I'm sure that you probably have mask like this and different kinds of masks, or disposable masks like the one I'm wearing, and that's perfectly okay, as long as it's covering our nose and our mouth. And if you do have a cloth mask, just know that those need to be washed on a regular basis. If you have a disposable mask, obviously you need to rotate those out and change those out so that those are effective over time. So I know there's a lot of questions about masks, but one thing I would encourage you to do is to practice, to prepare, and to have your kids practice that if they have not. I'll talk about my own 4 kids. We've practiced lots of different kinds of masks, and we're now getting ready to prepare so that kids have masks for 5 days. So they may have different masks, and they kind of have those 5 days ready for them. My own kiddos, one of my kids loves a buff. A buff is a face covering that goes over, but I will say this, if you have not tried that, it's very difficult to keep a buff up on your face for the duration of the day. So we really encourage families to have a mask that actually hooks on and is secure, so it's not something that a child is messing with and pulling off and on all day long, because that defeats the purpose of the mask. We will build in mask breaks throughout our day, because we do understand that it is hard to wear a mask all day. I've been doing it for a couple months now, and many of you have as well, but we'll build those in. We'll have structured mask breaks, and we'll also have some other mask breaks for our students throughout the day, so that they can just get fresh air and breathe and have that off their face, because it is irritating at times. If your student has special needs, or you have a special circumstance that you've worked with a team at your school or with your doctor, then we will have accommodations in place. So there may be an accommodation where your student does need to wear a face shield, and there's a good reason for that. And the governor laid those out specifically in the order on who qualifies for that. So that's something you may want to look into, and we'll share with you as we move forward. And we also, if we're working with you and working with your IEP, for example, if your student has an IEP, an individual education plan, then we will also look at options for your student as well. And we will work with you as a family, because we do want this to be a successful and also a safe time for all students and staff. Each day our staff comes to work, we actually have a QR code, and we click into the QR code and we fill that out. And it's a symptom check. It checks our temperature, makes sure that we have not been exposed to COVID-19, and it's our way of checking in every day. We will ask you as a family to partner with us, and that's something that you will do every day at home. You won't be checking into our system. You'll be doing a symptom check with your own child. So you'll be checking in to make sure they don't have a fever. You'll make sure that they don't have any other symptoms of COVID-19, and you'll make sure they haven't been exposed to others that have had a positive case of COVID-19. And we'll help, and as you check in every day with your student, that is what you'll determine whether or not you can send them to school. We really ask, and we understand that people have sent their kids in the past to school with maybe a little fever, or they've given them some medication so they can take their fever down so they can be in school. And we understand that's happened in the past. We know that's happened. That can't happen this year. We really cannot have students coming to school sick, because if students are coming to school sick, the probability of them exposing others, and the probability of the spread of COVID-19, and the probability of us shutting down just continues to go up. And so please work with us, and this is your way of partnering with us as a family, to do your symptom check at home. And if people are not feeling well, or there are symptoms or a fever, please keep your student home. Well, as you know, the Comets are my favorite team. We love our Comets, and we love to be on Friday night football, and we love to see our runners on Saturday and all of our athletes throughout our district. We also love to see our marching band and all of our students participating in extracurricular activities. But one question we have received specifically is there an update on fall sports? Will we have fall sports? And the answer right now is that we are moving forward on fall sports. Right now, every guidance that we have, as long as we're following our safety protocols, which I cannot emphasize enough to families and to coaches and to our student athletes, following those protocols will allow us to stay in season longer. And so as we do that, we will continue to move forward with fall sports. If something changes, obviously we'll give you that update, and I'm sure you'll hear that from the state if something changes as well. But all I have to say is go Comets. As we close out this update, I want to just emphasize that you've heard the saying, we are in this together. We truly are in this together, and we can't do it alone. We have to do this as a community. We have to help each other to practice safe habits so that we can stay in school for those that chose to be in school. Those of you that chose to be online, we want to walk with you through that experience and keep the lines of communication open so that you feel supported as well. I want to recognize for everyone that this is a different year. And we thank you for your patience as we move forward into this year. We know that information changes constantly. And as it changes, we update you on that information. So thank you for your patience in working with us. I also want to recognize that there are layers to the crisis around us. Obviously, we have the pandemic, and that is clear to everyone. There is a health pandemic out there, and there's a lot of worry around that. But there's also racial tensions throughout our country, and it's something that I want to be very clear as we come back. We want to work closely with our families. We want to recognize that our Black community has been hurting through this summer with all the events that are going on. And so that is something that I want to encourage you to talk as a family about how we as a community can support all of our students as we return this year. And then finally, understanding that there is an economic crisis around us. People have economic uncertainty, and when that uncertainty causes anxiety and worry. And so we have resources here at our school to support you, whether it's meals, whether it's other supports that you may need, and we have mental wellness support for all of our families. So if there's anything that you need in this process as we transition back into the school year, we want to be a place that you find hope, a place that you find stability, a place that you find support and community. Thank you again for tuning in. If you have any questions, as always, please reach out and we would love to serve you.